this podcast. My name is Chase Sizemore. I'm the audio guru here for Forerunner Productions. I've also been a host for the West Meadow Show, and Chad has had me on for the Chad Garrett Show. So there's a very specific reason as to why I'm on today, and it's because of who we are interviewing. Not just one or two people, no, but we have 5 people here today, and these 5 people form the band Defying Death. So before I kind of get into who you are and what you all do, so go around the room, give me your name, what you do in the band, what instrument you play, and then tell me what your favorite type of cake is, because these are the questions that people really want the answers.
All right. My name's Jacob. I play rhythm guitar, and I do the clean vocals for the band. That's what I do musically within my position. But as far as playing guitar and singing, I'm one out of the 3 people who kind of work with the production aspect when we write songs, when we start ideas, and just whenever we write a song, we always go through the start stage of just getting the idea down, and then slowly together I kind of reach out to everyone and say, hey, here's the part that was kind of written in the beginning, but here's something that you could fill in for your kind of style on how you want to play the song.
Hi, I'm Chase. I'm the vocalist. I like to focus on the business side of the band, marketing, advertising. My favorite type of cake is, chocolate cake.
Chocolate cake. That's all right. You can't go wrong with chocolate cake, man.
Hey, what's up? I'm Ben. I play bass guitar in the band, and my main focus is running the social media page, talking to the young people, making that connection, posting and reaching out to different bands and different news pages to get some more exposure and coverage. Favorite cake? I like ice cream cake. Doesn't really matter the flavor, to be honest.
Okay. I like it. That's different. Let's go for it.
All right. My name is Benton. I play the drums in our band. For the production side, I kind of let the other guys write the drum parts they think will fit with the rhythms, and then I tweak it to my own style of music. And then as for my favorite cake, I like cake batter ice cream cake.
Ooh. Very good choice. Good choice. Snaps for that. Let's go.
Yes.
There we go. Yes.
All right, my name is Daniel Huber. I'm the lead guitarist for the band, and I guess primarily what I focus on at the moment is trying to make sure that the place where we have rehearsal at is really good and organized, and of course everybody else in the band has also been doing a good job at that. And my favorite cake, I really like cheesecake.
Cheesecake.
Daniel,
Okay.
Daniel.
Let's go. What's your favorite cheesecake at the Cheesecake Factory?
I don't know. I don't go there all that much.
Ooh, man. We got to take you out to the Cheesecake Factory.
I mean, I've been once or twice, but it's all the way in Virginia Beach.
That's true.
Dude,
That's
you're missing
true.
out. Imagine paying a super expensive price for an average piece of cheesecake.
Dude, it's the best thing ever.
My favorite cake flavor has to be anything that's like double chocolate to the extreme.
Basically, just something that's cracked out on chocolate and sugar. I love it.
If I can't
How you
distinguish flavors anymore, then I know it's good.
Yep. Been like that since 8 years old, man. If it doesn't make my taste buds burn, it ain't good.
The cake you're eating. You're like a spicy cake, huh?
That's such an aggressive way to describe your cake preference, my guy. Man, so Defying Death was born from the heavy music scene of Richmond, Virginia. It's a fusion of various kinds of metal subgenres that create a sound different than your normal metalcore band. I had the pleasure of getting to sit in while I set up for this interview and getting to listen to them practice, and I can tell you guys this. If you like it heavy, if you like filthy drops and dirty breakdowns, you have got to check these guys out. Check them out on Spotify, YouTube Music, wherever you pull in your music from. You have to check these guys out. They are phenomenal. And they're actually getting ready to release their first EP, right? Do we have kind of a timeline for that at this time?
Yeah, our first EP is going to be dropped on February 19th. It's called Blinded by Sorrow.
Nice. How many tracks are we looking for this EP?
It's a total of 6 tracks, including intro.
Nice. So tell me really, how the band got formed, because I know a few of you and well before the band started. So who wants to kind of like start off with like how this band came to be, Defying Death?
Well, it's kind of funny. I was this is sometime late summer of 2020, and I was just praying about it, and I was just like, I would really like to, help spread the word of God through metal music in some way, shape, or form, because to me, it's important to find ways to do that, and I just something I think God was telling me to just, hey, why don't you just communicate with Jacob? And I was like, I know he plays metal and he's really good at it. So I just sent Jacob a Facebook message one day, and then we started chatting, and he just mentioned Chase, and then we just went from there, and it was quite the journey.
So the earliest roots of the band started, I'd say, 2018, or was it 19?
We met.
It was early.
We met
2018. It was the end of
2018.
of it.
End of 2018 going to 2019.
Yeah. So it was actually LYA. I was sitting wearing an Impending Doom T-shirt, which is like probably one of the more known Christian like death metal bands. And he came up to me and was like, "Hey, I like your shirt. That band's really good." And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, thanks." We started talking about like favorite metal bands and stuff, and he was talking about how he likes to write metal music. And up until this point, 2018 was the first year I started even listening to metal, so everything was still new to me, and I'd never even been introduced to the recording side, writing my own music with that aspect. And he kind of was like, well, like, hey, if you want to come over, we can like write some music together. Ended up going over, we started recording like a track, because I was like, hey, I have some ideas I want to put down. Coincidentally enough, we're writing a song right now that actually uses some grooves and some riffs from that first song we ever wrote together. But we did that for a while. We ended up stopped doing that. Life got busy. We dealing with our own issues and whatnot, school, whatever it may be. And then it was about when quarantine had just started, me, Jacob, and a few of his friends that he had were trying to start like kind of like a deathcore kind of band.
It was more like a death metal kind of.
And it was just destined to fail, because quarantine had just started. We couldn't see each other. And then one of the guys, he had to go to the military for boot camp, and it just one of the other guys, he was going through some stuff, so like we never heard from it, and it just like completely fell apart. This was where actually our first single went into its first stage of development, when Jacob was like, here, I got this song idea, give me some lyrics for it. And then we worked on that. Then there was silence from about like May up until August, when Jacob hit me up again and was like, hey, me and Chase are trying to start a band. I'm like, oh yeah, I know Chase, that's cool. And he's like, you want to join? And I was like, yeah, sure. And then we got Daniel in on it, and then we got Benton in on it, and kind of just went from there.
That's awesome. So when did y'all really feel like you were kind of a cohesive unit? Because I know like when you first start a band, it's like, okay, what's everyone like kind of doing? What's everyone feel like? What's the vibe?
It was very awkward in the beginning. Like when we first started out, it was the first day that none of us were even like here present all together. It was just Daniel, Ben, and I, when we just got met up to try to figure out like, okay, who's gonna play what? Because in the beginning, I was supposed to be playing the bass.
Oh, it was all over the place.
We didn't know what to do. Like it was so stressful trying to figure this out. Like it was at the point of like, okay, if we don't get some organization going on here, figuring out how we're going to operate as a band musically and like from a practical side, I was just like, this is not gonna work out. So it started off with like, just jamming out. So like one of the songs on our EP is called Withered Roots.
Okay.
We were trying to figure out, like, okay, we need some influential ideas of like some kind of like drum style to go for when we were kind of coming up with the song. And I knew that I was like, okay, you know what, I'm gonna play the bass and follow whatever happens. And when we were listening to the drum track that we liked, we were like, okay, that style is good. And then after listening to the bands that played that style, we were like, okay, we can make something that's kind of what's current. And that's how the song came about.
Okay.
And then when we started on it, I didn't know what to start with. And then Ben started playing the riff. And then that was what became the structural glue with the song. And then I just played on with the bass. We all just looked at each other and was like, okay, we know the same part. And then after that, we met Chase. He came in and started doing vocals, just whatever felt right. And then we met Benton through Daniel. How did you meet Benton?
Yeah, how I met Benton. There's a one of the guys that volunteers for Liberty Baptist Church, David. Spoke to him and asked, hey, is there anybody that that likes to play metal? David is an instructor at ODU, a percussion instructor, and so we got talking some more, and David helped me out and introduced me to Benton, and then Benton just we met up with Benton at
it was the Starbucks in Hampton, and
Yes.
before that, he gave me his contact information, and I called him when I was on the way to a music shop in Gloucester, and we just kind of chatted on the phone a little bit, and asked a few questions to each other, what does it mean to be a Christian musician? What does worship mean to you? And why do you want to do this? And funny thing enough, before I could even ask him the 3 questions, he just gave me he threw all the cards out at me of saying, hey, this is what I'm doing. This is why I want to do music, and didn't have to ask anything else. I was like, okay, do you want to meet up for coffee? And we met up with him, talked, and right when we came in, he just started playing with our first song that we got into production with, and that's when we felt like cohesively we were starting to get together in our groove.
Let me just go on record saying that when the band first started, it's funny to think about it, but I originally was invited to be the drummer of the band.
I forgot
You were invited to be the drummer.
Yeah, because that's why my kit was here originally, I think. I don't even remember.
Yeah,
but then, so we went from that, and I'm like, I can play drums, but not in a metal setting. I play some Pearl Jam or something like that. I can't do that. That's not my forte. But and then from there, I went to rhythm guitar, and then from rhythm guitar, we started to say, okay, I can do vocals. But then Chase was like, well, vocals, that's my main thing. And I'm like, all right, well, I got to do something. So I ended up being tossed to bass, and I was kind of in the beginning I was kind of just like,
how does that seem like it always works? I started on guitar, now we're here with only 5 or 6 string, or a 5-string bass.
When they said a bass was the only spot I could do, I'm like, dude, that sucks, because everyone looks at a bass and they're like, that's boring, and you do nothing. So that was kind of my mindset. So I got a cheap bass, and then a few practices in, I'm like, this is actually really fun. I mean, it's my new favorite instrument. Ironically enough, but yeah, I'm kind of glad how everything played out.
He writes some crazy bass lines.
Now I do.
That's really awesome, guys. So I do want to just take a quick break here.
Hey everybody, it's executive producer Chad Garrett, and I wanted to thank all of you for listening to this episode of Impetus Minds of the Driven. I have some bad news for you though. All of the people that run all of the institutions that create the things that you might actually enjoy, they kind of hate your guts. They hate you because you have values. They hate you because you have ethics and morals. You're willing to live by an oath and by a maxim. You're willing to have values that they disagree with, that they want to dismantle, and that they want to destroy. It's the culture war. And if you haven't seen it, you've been living under a rock. But you actually have a way through the culture war. There are avenues that you can take to fight back and to take the fight into your own hands. It actually has to do with what you consume and where you spend your money. If you keep giving your money to the people that hate you and that want to destroy the things that you love, they're going to do just that. They talk about it all the time. They've promised it to you, to your face, and you're still giving them your money. Stop doing that. We are creating a new institution, one that actually has the values and the things and the media that you want to engage with, that you want to watch, that you want to listen to, and that you want to hear from a music perspective. We are building an empire of opportunity for so many people, and you can make an impact in the culture by helping us out. How you do that is you go to forerunnerproductions.locals.com. That's right, we're changing locations away from Patreon, and we're going to take our business to a place that actually supports our values too. It's run by a great guy named Dave Rubin, who's the host of the Dave Rubin Report. If you haven't checked that out, you should. But most of all, check out forerunnerproductions.locals.com. Again, forerunnerproductions.locals.com. It's kind of like Facebook, but it's filled with people that enjoy the same type of content that you like to enjoy. Mainly Forerunner Productions content. So head on over again to forerunnerproductions.locals.com. Again, forerunnerproductions.locals.com. And here's a kicker. If you want to be a supporter and you want to support us financially, but you're sort of on the fence and you don't know if it's really for you, you can get 1 month free access to all of our exclusive content. That includes our articles that are going to be posted up on there as thread pieces. You can get access to exclusive bloopers and extended episodes, all of the things that you want, as well as more video content, extra interviews, the ability to interact with all of the people that work here at Forerunner Productions. You get all of that, and you can have it for 1 month for free. Just use promo code Valentine. That's VALENTINE. Again, that's promo code Valentine, VALENTINE, for 1 month access as a supporter, so you can check it out and see if it's actually worth your time. And if it's not worth it now, it will be in the future. Eventually, the history books are going to look back and they're going to say, who is a part of the culture war? Who started the culture revolution? Who were the forerunners? And we'll be able to look back and say, it was us. So come, join the culture revolution. Can't wait to have you on board. Now back to your episode.
Now, we are a culture-based company, right? Just like we talked about with that ad, we really like to focus on the things of the culture, what's going on within, what we can do to affect it. So I want to get y'all's general feeling. How do you feel music has an impact in the current culture?
You're going to go around the room on that one because we all have like our own upbringing of how we answer that question.
All right, so since you brought up going around the room, why don't we start with you, my man?
See, music is all I've known since, to be honest with you, since I was a baby. My dad told me the earliest memory he has of knowing that music was going to be a huge part of my life was when I was maybe 6 months old. I'm screaming bloody murder in the car, and he can't get me to be quiet. He's a new dad, so he literally turns on a rock FM station, and Crazy Train from Ozzy Osbourne started playing, and I went from screaming to just mesmerized, so that was history.
That is awesome.
Growing up, music, the best way I can answer this question for you is, growing up with music, it was very much like an outlet to get away from the reality that media pushes, and it was a chance to say and discover, this is a world that I can live in from seeing it in a creative point of view. And that's what music does for us. It gives us a lot of creative characteristics you can add on to who you are. And what I mean by that is you might be someone who's very analytic. You might be a visual learner, kinesthetic or auditorial. Music helps you to implement those things in very practical solutions. Like growing up, terrible at math.
Mood. I feel that emotionally.
And my parents literally, I kid you not, just to get me to understand math and even like sports, they had to put everything into music for me.
Really?
Stupid clapping songs of like explaining what a soccer player will do on a field. Like that's what I had to get to the point of. So music
incredible.
Offers a lot of creative outlets on how if you're going to be a creator, then music offers that. But also music, if you're not someone who's a creator, it offers a very practical aspect of how you can use it to make your daily life routine better.
Yeah.
You break a lot of social norms with people, and like how I met Ben. He was wearing an Impending Doom shirt, and I looked at him and was like, I know that band. They're really cool. And had he not worn that shirt, probably would have never talked to him.
No, that's the craziest thing I think about. If I did not wear a metal T-shirt that day, probably wouldn't have talked to him.
Man, that's crazy.
Also to say, I met Ben because I had on a Fit for a King shirt.
That's true, dude. It's the shirts. I'm telling you, yeah. Because I met
Weren't you at a
Chase.
show and that happened too?
Okay. So what we're saying apparently is, if you want to meet cool band people, just wear your favorite band shirts
Yeah.
until someone responds.
So and coincidentally, I met Chase at an OYA event too, because it was like the '80s theme one, and he was wearing like a classic metal theme for one of like our favorite Christian bands. And after that, we didn't really talk, and then I ended up running to him at a few shows because we both stayed going to concerts before COVID decided to ruin our lives.
Rip
But-
Rip concerts, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I kind of hurt Ben a little bit at a
Yeah,
concert.
he kicked me. Yeah, just a side note, we were at a Fit for a King concert, and it was during one of their heavier songs. Me and him were both in the pit, and he karate kicked me in the balls. I was there for so hard. No, so hard that I actually left the pit, went to the bathroom to make sure I still had both of my balls.
My bad.
Homie was getting it in the pit, like he was going crazy. I came back to him. I was like, "Dude, you kicked me in the nuts." He's like, "Sorry, man."
Sorry, man. Want to make a band? That is, dude. The pit story. For those of you that don't know that terminology, the pit is when you go to a metal concert, right? There's people there that are jamming out, having a good time. And then there's people in the middle that are throwing hands, not aggressively, not because they hate the other person, just because they're having fun. It sounds like the most violent thing ever out of context, but you just got to be there to experience
Man,
it.
it can be. Chase almost got in a fight, actually.
Yes,
We had to throw somebody off of him.
Oh, ooh, man, y'all. Okay, so before I ask too many questions about y'all's violent show history here, Chase, what about music? How do you feel music kind of has an impact on the current culture?
So I think the current culture decides what music is popular, and I think that that can make people fall into a thinking pattern that makes them think like everyone else, and this is what's popular, so this is how I should act. And part of the reason that I like metal, not only because it's so aggressive and that's one of the big reasons I love it, but also because it's saying I don't care that this isn't the most popular genre of music.
Yeah, for sure.
Or this isn't what's gonna make me cool, I guess, but I like that I'm saying this is what I like, and if you don't like it, I don't care, really.
Yeah. Oh, I love that, man. Ben, what about you?
One of the big things when I look at music is I see it as something that we look to for identity. I mean, obviously we live in a world where like nobody knows what they're doing, nobody knows who they are, what they're gonna be, what they're gonna do, what their career is gonna be. And music, when we listen to it, especially broken into genres, every genre really has sort of like a cultural group backing it. In the sense of like you have people who like this ideology, or they like to act or dress this way. So like fashion, ideology, what kind of person you are is all about the kind of music you listen to. You listen to rap, you're going to dress this way, you're going to talk this way. You listen to country music, you're going to wear your country boots.
Yeehaw.
You're going to say heck yeah brother a lot, that
Heck
kind of
yeah,
deal.
brother.
For me, listening to metal music, the thing for me, I didn't even start listening to it till like 2018, but right off the bat, I just instantly fell in love. And what I saw looking at that kind of music was a scene that was all about just going against cultural normals and just being your own person. The thing I noticed right off the bat is when you come to mainstream music, it's the same topics over and over. Rap, you talk about drugs, you talk about drinking, you talk about sex. Country music, you talk about beer, you talk about some girl who broke your heart, whatever. But when it came to metal music, like literally every song is so unique, whether it is instrumentally, vocally, lyrically, talking about mental health, talking about injustice, talking about whatever it may be. Like there is nothing off the table when it came to metal music, and that's what I was all about. And what really drew me into it.
That's awesome, man. And I think that's something that a lot of people don't realize, right? I think they just hear one or two like good screams, and then they're like, oh, they're just like a bunch of angry boys out there just saying like F you, F that, I hate you all kind of thing. And they don't really take the time to sit down and analyze like what's actually happening with the music, like what inspired the creation of it. So Ben, what about you, man?
So the way I see music involving in the culture is, I think we enjoy music the way we want to, and I think Chase put it in a great way. We look at all the famous people putting out music and we want to be like them, but it's more like, what do we want out of music? How can we share it with the world? And I think when we play music as a group or by yourself, you get this rush, you get this high that really brings you to another level, kind of like what Jacob was saying. You want to just leave the world and, expand on another reality. And I think with this type of music, I think with metal especially, I think it's just, it expands, just like what Ben was saying. It expands so much from what we hear on the radio. It's like we don't hear many metal radio channels, it's not as popular, not many people tune in, not many people donate to it. But this group of people, this culture that we build today is based off of what we want, and then how we want to share it with others that respect what we put out there. And I just it's just incredible to to see. So
That's awesome. And last but certainly not least, Daniel, what you got for us, man?
Yeah, I think when it comes to music and culture, trying to think of a good way to put it, but I think it also just has to do with the fact, like, when people listen to music, they want to, I guess, listen to music that they can relate with other people. So it's like, oh, well, I want to hang out with this group of people. They listen to this type of music, and I think that's definitely how it really ties in. Like, so, sorry, I'm not
Articulate.
Nah, you're good.
Yeah.
I think that
Short and sweet.
but I think that hits a lot of it. We see what everyone else is listening to. And then we're living in a culture of influencers, right? Where the influencers decide what's popular. You have like one person on TikTok put like a certain song in the background, and then like next week it blows up. There's like whole playlist on Spotify now called like TikTok hits and stuff like that, just because like one or two people put out a song, it got with a couple million followers, and everyone's like, it's the greatest song. It's never the greatest song ever, side note, but
and the power that that app holds, honestly, like for instance, there's one of the most popular metal bands to ever exist, like even dating back to like everyone knows it from the scene back in like 2007. Bring Me the Horizon, they have a song that like had been off their charts for a while, but somehow it got put into a TikTok song, and it just like blew up for them again. They're like, I remember looking at like the vocalist Ollie Sykes,
Ollie Sykes,
and he was like, he posted a photo of it, and he was like, what the heck, why is this song blowing up?
Yeah. So this is just kind of more of a fun question to break up kind of the seriousness here. What is one of y'all's... That was a great neck crack, by the way. I really hope that picked up on the mic.
I think it did. That was some ASMR right there.
Just free ASMR here on Impetus, guys.
Subscribe.
So please subscribe for more random ASMR moments. No, but what is one of y'all's favorite metal band? Let's go around the room again, just because this is fun. What is one of y'all's favorite metal bands? I'm not saying the favorite, because that's not possible. This time we're going to start with Daniel, though. It's one of your favorites. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. I think, let's see. I think one of my favorite metal bands for a good while was Lazarus AD.
Ooh, okay. I don't think a lot of people know them. Like, even, like, especially, like, more popular.
I personally enjoy it because they took a relatively old style of metal, thrash metal, and they modernized it.
Okay.
And they had a really cool twist on it. I like the riffs that they came up with, the guitar solos they came up with. I like how they structure their songs.
Nice. Awesome. And Ben, what about you, man?
All right, they already know what I'm going to say. So, I like this band called Periphery. They are more of a progressive metal band, but I like them because of how they challenge the metal scene with their, progressive time signature changes, just like...
and for those of you that don't know what a time signature is, it's basically... No, it's totally fine, man. It's basically the breakdown of how a song works out, kind of like the foundation of it. So most songs are kind of written in 4/4. If you listen to anything on popular radio, it's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And the song's going to match that beat. I don't know how to explain a weird time signature to you guys well, because I'm just starting into drums. But basically, imagine something to give you a really nice headache, but somehow make perfect sense all at once. I don't know another way to describe it, but I think that works. Ben, what about you, man?
For me, it's definitely gonna have to be the band that got me into the scene. Band called The Word Alive. They're definitely one of like the bigger ones from the early 2000 scene. Still kicking hard, honestly. But what drew me to them is the fact that like they took a bunch of different kind of genres and kind of influences and just put them into their song. Like they had their classic 2007 era kind of metal. You got your heavy intro, verse, chorus, breakdown, verse, chorus, whatever. But they had musics that are more metal. They had one that was like more indie, one that's more like pop rock, kind of like they just did everything, and they really had fun with their music, and it was just the perfect example of like an introduction for metal of like, hey, like there's no rules, do what you want, what sounds good to you, kind of like I like that.
I love that, man. That's awesome. Chase, what about you, man?
So my favorite band is Counterparts.
Counterparts.
I've never heard a Counterparts song that I didn't like. I have a Counterparts tattoo on my arm.
Ooh.
They're just very aggressive, and it's got that hard. It's perfect blend of hardcore and metal, which is what I love.
Okay.
And yeah, like Counterparts slaps. If you haven't heard them, you need to listen to them.
They got a lot of like rhythm changes in their songs too.
Man, slapper. Absolute slapper. I haven't listened to a ton of them, but you reminded me of them. I want to listen to them on the way home. Jacob, what about you? Finish us off, man.
Kind of like how Ben described his favorite band that got him into the scene. For me, it was a band called Memphis Mayfire.
Memphis, what a throwback,
Right,
man.
Yeah, they've been around since
go.
2008, and they're still making music to this day. And that band kind of heavily influences the way I even like write in this band as well. But Memphis Mayfire, they really got me into the scene because the first time I heard them was 8th grade. Their cover of Bruno Mars' "Grenade." And from there, I was just sold at that point of like, okay.
Was that off of one of those Pop Goes Punk albums?
Punk Goes Pop,
Pump Goes
Volume
Pop.
4.
I love that you know the exact one.
But that band, I love the way that they write their riffs. I love the way their choruses sound, and I always tell myself like my goal is to sing in the vocal range of Matty Mullins. But
Oh man,
that man, he's
What a
just a whole
goal.
different breed.
Yeah.
But they a lot of their music falls in the savior mentality mindset. Like one of their songs, if anyone who's trying to get into metal, Memphis Mayfire, "The Sinners" is a good starter if you wanted to jump into what the modern sound is, or listen to Daniel's favorite band to kind of hear like what most people think of metal. But with Memphis Mayfire, a lot of their songs go on a savior mentality of recognizing that we're human, we're not going to do everything perfect the first time, and when you don't, you kind of feel like it's the end-all be-all. Memphis Mayfire has a great way of reaching out to their fans of saying, hey, look, when you're feeling this way, you don't hold it back, you let it out.
yeah. And that's something I think is really amazing about metal music in particular, is that it's such, like you all said with your emotional connections, it's such an amazing outlet, right? It really allows you to get what is in your head and in your like heart and mind out, whether it be just literally screaming what's happening in the car, or like going in a pit, or just experiencing that moment in a concert with a friend. There's so much good that happens with expressing like your internal emotions through that kind of music. And I've been to a few metal shows.
Yeah, you went to that Bless the Fall
Yeah,
concert.
it was Bless the Fall, Palisades, and Slaves. It was such an amazing set list, and it was the most fun I've ever had at a concert.
And let me just say, I've been to a lot of shows, and that was probably one of the most insane ones I've been to.
It was incredible. But the thing is, you think mosh pits and you think all this like violence and hard, like everyone's just going to hate each other. That was like one of the general friendliest groups of people I've ever met. I've been to Christian concerts with more jerks.
Oh yeah, like let me just say, like I've talked to people about this before, and like they're just general view of like what to expect going to a metal concert, and I can say without a doubt the friendliest people I've ever met, the most outgoing, kind, and thoughtful people have been at metal shows. Like for instance, perfect example, if you're in a mosh pit and someone falls, everyone will stop and they'll make kind of like a wall inside the pit to block people out. They help that person up, and then they go back to it. So, like, the metal community is literally just all about having fun to your heart gives out, but take care of each other, you know?
Yeah.
Obviously, people break those rules. It's mainly people who have one drink too many, but other than that, it's
for sure. But
pretty accepting.
Yeah, the culture is just so unique, but so good. I love it. I have one more major question that I want to ask, but, I want to highlight a little bit more about what you guys are doing as Defying Death. So you got the EP coming out. Can we get a kind of a track by track breakdown about what we can expect on this EP? Y'all can give or talk about as much or as little as you want, but I think that'd be something really cool for your fan base, and also be something really cool for the listeners to see the fact that metal music just isn't this like raging sound, that there's meaning and heart put into it.
Do you want to do for like in order first to for the last track, starting with the intro?
With like Empty Alone.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
You explain that one, because like when we did like first 2 tracks, like a lot of the involvement started off with like you knew the plans for that, so I think
okay.
you're the best one to kind of go with the first 2 tracks.
Empty Alone started when Daniel was playing with his ambient guitar, and we just kind of like, I was playing around on the drums, and we were kind of like, oh, that'd be cool for an intro. But getting more into EP and the development and what we were looking for, Empty Alone is the first track on our EP. It is the intro into our first full song on the EP called Forsaken. I not really wrote it, but when I had in mind the general layout of the song, I wanted it to be reflective of the overtone of the EP itself, which was, I wanted it to be this sense of isolation and this sense of hopelessness to start it off, to kind of tell the story in order of the songs of what the EP was. And the general message I wanted for that first song was to be that there's no hope, and that there's nowhere to go, and that there's nothing left. And then it goes into the first song that kind of touches more on that lyrically.
After Forsaken, it goes into the song Withered Roots.
We
And
didn't talk about Forsaken.
I just did talk about
That was Empty Alone. That was the intro. Yeah. Dang, I wrote the lyrics for that one too. Forsaken, I wrote while I was in OBX, just kicking it back. We were in the midst of a lot happening in the world, and I just kind of wanted to like take what I had been learning and kind of inputting, and kind of like just put it on a piece of paper, and got a notepad out and just started writing. And I just was writing about general injustice, no matter what it may be, shape or form, who it may be, and just kind of more particularly, I like to be like a self-judgment kind of person, to kind of reflect on myself and put it out there, even if it beats myself up. Was this sense of in the church and as a Christian, that we tend to have a sense of judgment and unwillingness to help somebody because of our own comforts. So the song as a whole was like kind of like a challenge and like a condemning the lack of action taking as a Christian and as a person.
Yeah, that's super good, dude. What's the next track?
The next track was called Withered Roots. The origin of that song was when we came up with the basic drum track. We just started going at it and to figure out what to play, and Ben came up with the chord structures of like how the song is going to sound from like the ground up, and we call that skeleton tracks, where when you get an idea for a song and you want to get the idea down, you put down the basic ideas you get to kind of build like the skeleton and like part of the song before you put the next part into the body of the song. Withered Roots, when we did that song, Ben was kind of really, like he said, he was being very reflective on where he was at in his own mental health, and we all kind of related in with that. And even like to look at the world is to like see, you know, how do people feel about this pandemic, like from all aspects. And
Yeah, for sure.
the song, and Ben, correct me if I'm wrong, like the song really goes into realizing that you are way too comfortable in where your season is of life that's not allowing you to grow and turn into the person you want to be. And you get to the point where when he wrote the verse sections, it was very centered around, you know, being angry about the way that your life is going, and how your actions always bring a consequence, a good consequence and bad consequence. But as humans, we always look at the bad consequence. So that's where he took the perspective in that section. And the chorus, it was like 2:30 in the morning. It was really early in the morning. He messaged me and he had the lyric ideas for the song, and I told him I was going to come up with a chorus. So right then and there, I'm a very formulated person. I always want to write in structure to do something. That was the first time when writing a song, I just thought about the chorus progression, and then I just started writing the lyrics down.
Okay.
And had like the basic melody in my head. I even took I learned this from Ben, going on Snapchat, just taking a quick little video of you putting that little idea out. It's gonna sound stupid to yourself, but you know, if I don't do this, yeah. And then the chorus, I talk about basically saying, God, I want you to take my life back to where you started, when you were my first love and you were the one that mattered through everything. Because in life, it's very easy to get caught up with what's everyone trending with on social media, how many likes you can get, what people are you going to hang out with to be like, hey, this is me, this is who I am.
Yeah.
You get caught up in that and you realize, you became rooted in a place that is toxic. And I felt God calling to me and our band of saying, I want to be in the center of everything you guys do.
Simply put, it's about being at like the end of the road, being at your lowest point in life, and just basically being so mad at yourself for like, how did I get here? How did I start at this good point in my life and end up literally with nothing? And just like, that kind of like that self-deprecation never fails you.
Yeah. I think that's a lot of people during this time. I think a lot of people are extremely unhappy with how this pandemic kind of shake down, and with how everything's going on in the world, really how they feel. They feel whether or not they actually are. I think mentally a lot of people have pushed themselves to where they're like at the end of their rope. That's just something that you don't hear in most popular music. I can guarantee you I can listen to probably like whatever current pop radio station you want to name. I'd put a lot of money down saying that no one's really going to talk about that. No one's really going to get into that. And that's super great that you guys are. That's such a unique and amazing opportunity that y'all have as a band to do that and to continue that. So, what's the next track we got, guys? Who wants to take that?
Yeah, so the next song is Lethal Dose. When I wrote, yeah, whenever I wrote Lethal Dose, I was mainly just talking about my personal struggles with mental health, which is really OCD and anxiety. And I was just writing how I felt on always being in a fight mode, like a fighting instinct in my head of trying to fight whatever thoughts were coming into my head. And that's why I was saying, on the breakdown, I try to fight the pain, but my mind's giving me the lethal dose, because I think a lot of us have got to that point where we're almost ready for to end it. But yeah, I was mainly just writing in lethal dose about that fight or flight mode, and just trying to get through that.
And that's a super hard moment to be in. I've talked about my mental health on a different podcast before, about my struggles with depression and where that's put me in super dark places. And I think there's a stigma amongst the Christian community that like everybody has their like stuff together. If you're a Christian, like you shouldn't have to worry about your mental health, God, if someone's depressed, well, just pray about it. I can't tell you how many times someone has told me just to pray about it. Just pray about it and trust God more, and it'll get better. Just don't think that way. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's another personal favorite. Don't think that way. Okay. Let me work on that. Let me think about how to not think like that, because that's going to fix my thinking. Thanks, Karen. Appreciate you.
The next track is Isolated Wounds, and you talk about the verse, how you came up with that.
Isolated Wounds is the first song that we wrote collectively. The song, in a nutshell, is about Christians. Basically, I'm trying to put this exactly. Okay, essentially, when we just started the band and we're like, we're gonna be a Christian band, I was like, okay, what's a great way to start a Christian band? I was like, how about we criticize Christians first, and then we could. I was like, then we can work from there. I was like, we can't be calling anything out if we're not gonna talk about our own issues first. I was like, all right, so let's work off of that. I was like, Christians, okay. Basically, the topic that I chose of Isolated Wounds was this pattern I saw within the church, kind of talking to different people who were Christian at one point or not Christian or had some sort of capacity of experience with the church, always had the same conclusion, and it was always a bitter end. Everyone who I talked to would tell me about how they had an issue, a struggle, they were in a bad mental place, and they went to the church to get help, and they said that they were met with judgment and actually a lack of help. And the general idea of the song and the title, Isolated Wounds, is the idea of someone going to a place that is supposed to be all about love and helping someone out of that bad place, and essentially hurting them more, and then casting them out, isolated, and now hurt even more than before they came to the church. So it was really like a frustration of like, we're supposed to be like this, but we get so arrogant and selfish sometimes when we have someone come that has this different way of thinking or living or this different struggle than us. We alienate them and move on without a thought. So that's kind of like generally the verse, kind of what it talks about. The chorus is something different.
The chorus, building off when I read the lyrics that Ben wrote, it made me instantly, and this is something that I love about how God is moving with this band, is all the songs we write, it's something that we have personally lived through or witnessed, and one of us has either witnessed it or experienced it. So when he says he was witnessing all this hatred in the church and all of these, this like almost like a lot of prejudice going on. And I thought about, I grew up in the Lutheran church, and in the Lutheran church, they, pretty much kept you in a box. If it's like, look, you do this when we want people to jump in and help, and if we don't want you, then you don't do it, because everybody was power hungry. But when he got to the chorus part, we kind of struggled in the beginning of figuring out how to phrase it, and then one night, it was Chase, Ben, and I. We went over to my place and just spent like 4 hours in the evening.
I don't know why that one was so hard to write a chorus for. Maybe it was the message. It was the message.
It was the message that was a pain to get out, and we had to think about like okay, this is what we're talking about. And it was like right then and there, I realized I was like thinking about, okay, like all these years of people showing you lies about what the church is and what they think it is, kind of gets in the way of like, what it's supposed to be about is just building a relationship with Christ, not following the rules of the church and kind of playing this church game of like, oh, I tithe $20, I'm great. Oh, I tithe 40, I'm better than you. That's how it turns out to be. And I had to think about it like, the last 4 years of my life, I was trying to be someone who was listening to those lies. Once I listened to the lyrics and when the chorus came up to that point, I had to say, it's like, you know what, like, we just got to let go of all these lies that the world tells us and finally decide who we want to be, not what the world thinks we should be.
So is this the last track now?
Yeah.
If I remember correctly? Cool.
Self-titled track.
Yeah. So the last song on the EP is the title track, Blinded by Sorrow. When I wrote Blinded by Sorrow, it was actually, some of it was lyrics that I had written down in the past before I even thought I would be able to be in a metal band. I would just write stuff down, and I was like, okay, this works. And I'm still kind of talking about OCD, anxiety, and it's more of the kind of OCD I have. A lot of people, when they find out that they have it, they want to just so bad want to go back to who they were before they had OCD and who they were and the things that they could do without having to have these thoughts just eat away at them and every day. So even the chorus, I'm saying I can't get these thoughts out of my head. Everywhere I go, I'm trapped. Because I almost got fired from my job, actually, because I could not function.
Really?
I couldn't do anything. At home, I was miserable. At work, I was miserable. Everywhere I would go, it's just like you can't think. You have so many thoughts going in your head that you can't think.
Yeah, it's like an overload.
Little fun fact, actually, probably 2018, actually, so 3 years ago, this was the first song that me and Jacob collectively worked on. It was formerly called "A Hope to Hold On To," and I remember this is the song that where me and him built that connection. He's like, "Hey, I actually got a song I'm working on. If you don't mind helping me with lyrics," 'cause I told him like I showed him some lyric ideas I had from just like not even writing for metal, just writing in general, and he's like, "I like this a lot. Like, hey, do you want to try to kind of put that into this instrumental I have?"
Yeah.
And funny thing is like that, "Blinded by Sorrow," originally called "A Hope to Hold On To," was something I wrote in probably the darkest point of my life. It was right when I
Really?
started going to Thomas Nelson, and to me, life was very sheltered of, my parents raised me to figure out what I want to do in life and figure it out on my own.
Yeah.
Now, the problem is growing up that, the media in Hollywood paints families as like everyone helps each other. Everyone has to have a silver spoon fed to them.
Yeah.
And they make it seem like that's what the American family is.
Yeah, for sure.
And growing up in a Navy household, if you did something that was out of line, you were told immediately right there. And when you grow up and you hear all of the negative affirmations of what you do, you only think about those bad things that you do. And in the song "Blinded by Sorrow," the first thing is like, it was actually 2017 when that borderline 2018 when the instrumental came about. I just wrote the acoustic part and just started singing what was on my mind of how much I literally hated myself to the point of literally I think that was the worst year of figuring out what way can be the way to get out.
Yeah.
And it was called "A Hope to Hold On To" because of every possible outcome I wanted to use to just stop. Like there was a piece of hope that was telling me keep pushing forward, and that's what our faith does to us.
Okay. That's awesome. Thank you guys for breaking that down. I know that's a lot, but hearing it broken down like that, I think helps put a lot of the songs in context, and to hear how much of a connection you've put into the music. You're not just making music for the sake of making music. You're not making music just to make a noise or try to get big. You're like genuinely at this with a purpose. And that's like incredible and awesome to hear you guys really break down. So we're starting to wind down here. We are going to enter what everyone on Impetus knows as the lightning round. And just to give a quick explanation again, I'm going to rapid fire give you questions, and you have to answer in as few words as possible that question. Okay, so the first one is going to be each one of you is going to answer the same question because we got so many people here. And then after that, I'm going to think off questions off the top of my head and just ask and hope it doesn't turn out terrible.
Nice. Freeform's always good.
A little free form brain. Again, like this is probably not the best idea. I am running off of 3 hours of sleep, so who knows what kind of questions we're going to get. Chad's listening in over there and having mad anxiety attack over there. But we're going to start off nice and easy, all right? And we're going to start with Jacob and work our way around the couch here. Are you guys ready? This is very intense. Moser Chipotle.
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 Mose.
Chipotle.
Chipotle.
Dang.
Only one Mose?
Dude,
What?
I had Chipotle today.
Okay,
What?
so my
I
love
ain't
started
paying-
when Mose was the only one that had queso, first of all.
Yes.
Because that's essential.
Bless up. Queso
But,
all the way.
When you eat Chipotle, you literally feel so gross after. Maybe it's the fact it's a big burrito. Maybe it's just across the board. Feel great. Like, don't get me wrong, Mexican is my favorite food. Qdoba, isn't that like closed down?
Qdoba?
Qdoba's still a thing, dang.
Qdoba's still... I never had Qdoba. I lived in Trouttville. We didn't get a Chick-fil-A till like 4 years ago. Like...
I started off with going to Moe's, but then the one around the area of what's the shopping center that has
Tech Center?
yeah, like the
Yeah.
Moe's right near by that area. It used to be good, and then the management started changing, and then that's for me. I was just like, we're gonna write this one off.
That's probably Moe's before the Tech Center was even built.
Okay. That's a good one. This next one you all are going to answer too, okay? Tacos or burritos?
Burritos.
Tacos.
Tacos.
Oh, there we go. A little more divisive. I like it. There was a question I made Chad ask previously, but I always love the answer. All right, and now this is the point where I think of questions as fast as I can and just say them and hope this doesn't turn out terrible. And if it turns out terrible, I'm going to have to fix it in post, so I'm just going to do it to myself.
Exclusive content.
Exclusive content, me yelling at my computer screen for an hour. Why did I do this? Oh, it's casual. Okay. Screaming. Good or bad?
Depending on how you do it. If you
Elaborate.
So when you the best way I can explain this is like from learning how to scream. First of all, disclaimer: if I say the facts that are right, Chase and Ben are far much better screamers than I am by a long shot. But when you scream, most people think of like you're screaming from the throat, but it's using your diaphragm, the same muscles that you use when you sing. The thing is that when you sing, you take a note that you can sing, and you learn how to project it with your diaphragm and rather than your throat. But when you sing, you have to use these different chords in your throat with your vocal cords to produce almost like an angry sigh. That's how I explain it. So if you come into work and your wife's like, the kitchen's a mess, and you're like, ugh, you're just like, great, like I got to do that, and like you learn how to control that on command.
Yeah.
And then you throw your diaphragm into it to either raise it or lower it, and this is where your vowel pronunciation comes in huge. So
yeah.
Then throw your head voice in there too for that power.
Yes.
Cool.
The head voice and the power. That was the last point. Oh,
yeah. Okay. I usually like the answer shorter, but I just want everyone to know that even if you don't like screaming, you have to appreciate it. Yes. Like musically, you have to appreciate the amount of work it takes to not blow out your vocal
Yeah,
cords.
so there was this popular metal band from back in the early scene, Asking Alexandria.
Yes.
Their first vocalist and original vocalist, Danny Worsnop, actually went too hard and was a little reckless with the way he did his vocals, because he was like literally everyone knew he was the top vocalist in the scene, no doubt about that.
For sure.
But then like he actually damaged his voice that he had to get so hard he had to get surgery. So like it's not a joke. Like if you do it wrong, I'm talking like blood coming out of your mouth kind of deal. Like you will tear your throat up.
Yeah.
One band a lot of people know, Linkin Park, Chester Bennington,
Yes.
because I used to be the biggest fan of Linkin Park.
Let's go. They were so good. I loved Linkin Park.
2000,
Hybrid
2008.
Theory, baby.
Yeah.
Between Hybrid Theory and then Minutes to Midnight. Bleed It Out is an awesome song. That album, Minutes to Midnight, Chester, during a live tour, he did the same thing that Danny Worsnop did. He pushed way too hard and had to get open throat surgery. And that's where, when you think about it, everyone knows majority of certain songs off some Linkin Park album.
Mm-hmm.
You think of Minutes to Midnight, and the huge jump between that and Minutes to Midnight is because, between Meteora is because he had that accident, and the whole band was like, well, now we got to move forward.
Yeah. All right, so back to the quick fire questions again, going around the room. So picking up with Chase. Favorite workout in the gym?
I always go full body.
Full body.
So,
okay. There you go.
I started a thing of like a version of starting strength, and you're doing squats, bench, overhead press, pull-ups,
Let's
and
go.
you're set.
I like it. Ben, favorite drink?
Sweet tea.
Sweet tea. Let's go. What's your least favorite time signature? This one's for all the music people out there.
Least favorite?
What's your least favorite time signature?
I've had to play in 15/8, and it's kind of hard to count.
Oh my, that.
How do you even count that? Like one measure. How do you count like one measure of that?
I don't know. It's like
My brain just stopped working. Trying to think of that one.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. That's like this.
So do that one more time to the
It'd be
mouth.
like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and that's one measure. It's in sets of 5.
Oh
so
my
15,
gosh,
8, right?
that.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2.
This is why I stuck to 4/4. 4/4, 6/8.
Gosh, whew, that one hurt. Daniel,
All right, let's do it.
favorite guitar?
Oh man.
Quick.
Just go with the Music Man Majesty.
Ooh, great choice. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode of Impetus Minds of the Driven. And again, we've been here with Defying Death. Please check out their music on Spotify, Apple iTunes, anywhere you're getting your music. You guys need to follow these guys. You guys need to check this out. Get ready for the EP because it's going to be incredible. If the practice I got to witness is any taste for it, y'all are going to want to tune into this. My name is Chase Sizemore. This has been Impetus, Minds of the Driven.
Everywhere I go, I'm trapped. Life is explode. I'm sick, man. I want my lifeline.